United States Geological Survey says that the Northeast has been hit by a 4.8 magnitude earthquake.
Yeah, the reported epicenter is in Lebanon. That's in central New Jersey. Let's join CBS New York now for the latest.
Definitely felt the rolling and the rumbling of the earthquake, and we're trying to get people on the phone, not making light of it. It's just like, it's just kind of, I'm thinking, was that an earthquake? And so then when you double check and then you start to get this information streaming in, yes, it was an earthquake, and it was a 4.8 magnitude earthquake. And we felt it in the city, but they felt it all the way out on the island, and they felt it up in Westchester. So when we talk about damage, we always want to see if there's anything going on. We do have Dan Rice. Dan Rice is now. Dan Rice, are you flying or are you on the ground? What do you have? No, I'm not hearing Dan.
Is Dan on? He's supposed to be on.
I don't hear Dan.
Okay, he's not hearing Dan.
No,
we don't have Dan.
We're trying to get Dan. Well, if we're talking Dan Rice, we're talking chopper. So obviously we have the chopper up. We've not had any reports of any kind of significant damage. 4.8, I mean, you would consider that the typical earthquake around here is like a 1.8. So this is significant. I mean, this is, if 4.8 verifies, this is the first reports we have. That is a rather significant number. So we will want to see, first and foremost, anybody hurt. No reports of that, but then you go into any damage, so we don't have any reports of any damage yet. I mean, it's early. It's something like this. This might be something, you might find something a little bit later. Something knocked off. This definitely could have knocked off a couple of pictures. It was actually, shaking and baking here in the studio, and we're up on the 3rd floor in a massive building. So a smaller building is definitely going to feel it as well. It's interesting. We take pictures. I don't see anything going on, which is good news. And another thing we don't hear on the west side, I'm not hearing any kind of wild siren cacophony or anything like that either. I don't feel, it's not like people were called in. Oh, and by the way, this is something you would not want to call. You would not want to call 911 for something like this. That's why we're here. We're here to tell you that, yes, you are not imagining things. It was an earthquake, but we don't want you to bother unless there is some kind of, if you have an emergency, obviously, feel free to use all the emergency personnel, but you wouldn't want to call just to report it because it has been reported and it has been confirmed. So we are going to definitely deal with it. So, Kevin, we're waiting to get some folks on the air. Hey, come on over here, Kevin. Come on over here. This is assistant news director. Come on in over here. So, did you feel it?
I did feel it.
What did it feel like?
We were in the building, and it shook everything. No one knew what it was. I've never felt anything like that.
You've never been in an earthquake before?
Never been in an earthquake.
So I've been in multiple earthquakes. I immediately knew. I said, we're having an earthquake. Wow. And that's why I walked down in. We had one years ago here. So I remember it. But I was in California. I worked in California. So, well, good. See, look at there.
Scary stuff.
I just put you on TV, too, by the way. That's the way we roll here. So, and we're checking with some other folks, too, to see. So you are not imagining things. See? You're thinking, all these people that are texting me, no, you're not imagining things. It was an earthquake. And again, sometimes in the big quakes, you think about Taiwan and you think about the deadly earthquake that just hit Taiwan, and you think about the Ring of Fire. The Ring of Fire around the Pacific is a very active area. We do not sit on an active area like that, so obviously we, would never expect a 6 or a 7 like they just saw. Just imagine, and the Richter scale it's not a fixed scale, it's exponential. So every number that goes up, it's 10 times as bad. So we're tossing to Mary. We have Mary now. So a 4.8 is still bad. But consider that 7+ that they just had in Taiwan, it's not just 3, it's by multiples of 10. And when you talk about the reverberation of the earth, that was the landslides that called all the issues. So we did just get a statement from Governor Kathy Hochul, and this is it. I'm just reading it. I'm reading it with you, and I'm reading it to you. A 4.8 magnitude earthquake hit west of Manhattan and has been felt throughout New York. My team is assessing impacts and any damage that may have occurred, and we will update the public throughout the day. So you know what's interesting to me is that was a statement from the governor of New York, Kathy Hochul. I would like to hear from the governor of New Jersey because we are reporting that it was around Lebanon, New Jersey, which is well west of the city. So Kathy Hochul confirming a 4.8 magnitude earthquake did hit, and it was west of Manhattan, and it's been felt throughout New York. When she says New York, I know that she's talking about Rockland and Westchester too. So my team is assessing the impacts and any damage that may have occurred, and we will update the public throughout the day. See how our minds work the same way? We all want to think, first off, we all want to worry about personal safety, but then damage gets to be a question. Because 4.8 is a serious number. When I walked into the newsroom and I was looking initially to try to find maybe a 1.8 or 2, and then they said 4.8, that is significant. So we are going to see, and I'm sure it was felt. Remember, here's another thing about earthquakes. Even though it's a line, it's on a fault like that, or it either goes like that or like that, but it reverberates in circles. And so that's why you feel it miles and miles and miles away. So I know if we felt it here in New York, I'm sure they felt it in Pennsylvania as well. And my neighbors who live out by me in West Essex were definitely feeling, and they felt it longer. Again, you had to be in the right place, and if you were stationary, all of a sudden you weren't stationary, and it was just that rumbling, just like that. So, in fact, if you have any other reports, reach out to us. I mean, we don't want to hear stories about damage, but it does speak to the power of these quakes that hit. If stuff has come off in California, the earthquake preparedness is all about securing things to the wall. We don't have to be as stringent here, but some stuff, this kind of thing, something vulnerable may have fallen off a wall, and that was because of the earthquake. So again, it was a 4.8. 4.8 earthquake centered around Lebanon, New Jersey, and then as we kind of dig into this thing, that becomes important, the depth and all of that, so we'll have more of that stats. Hey, I guess, you know what, who we're going to talk to now? I want to check in with my colleague and friend, Maurice Dubois. Did you feel it?
マグニチュードは 5.14066 と推定されています。
So let me just set the scene. I live in uptown Manhattan, right? About 5 miles north of the station. And I'm chit-chatting with my wife in the kitchen. We live in, one of these like brownstones. And all of a sudden, it felt like a train was rumbling right next door, and there is no train line next door, so that was interesting. And then just everything in the kitchen started shaking. The glasses, the plates, the whole thing was just rumbling. Your mind starts racing. Oh my gosh, heart starts beating. Is it guys with jackhammers? Is it a truck? Is it the washer dryer just, finishing the spin cycle? And we looked at each other and just started running to the front door, up one flight, out to the front door, and then other neighbors were doing the same thing. So everybody was just catching their breath, reacting to what, certainly was an earthquake. We figured that out pretty quickly. And there's literally no damage to speak of in our neighborhood, in our house, or anything like that. But rattled nerves, damaged nerves. And, you and I, John, we've lived on the West Coast at different times in our lives. And I've felt earthquakes, but the ones I've felt in the past were more like calm pulses going through the floor or the wall or the street, wherever I was. And they were of more magnitude than this, but this was scarier because it was more of a shaking sensation that was violent almost in a way for, fewer than 15 seconds, I would say.
I want to ask you, because I got a call from somebody, they said it lasted about 15 seconds.
Yeah.
So you felt like it was 10 to 15 seconds of shaking.
I mean, I can't really put a clock on it, but it wasn't much longer than that. 15 sounds about right. You know, that's a guess because you're trying to get your bearings and understand what the heck's going on. But it wasn't much more than that, and just it takes your breath away. But and think about it, John. We live in New York where everything has happened, right? So some of the worst things, some of the best things, but it's all happened, and this is enough to freak us out. Out west, this is kind of like, they shrug it off. For us, it's a big deal. And people are just, in a tizzy because this is supposed to happen here. And when it does, oh, my God.
I imagine your phone, like my phone, has been going crazy. And we understand why people are duly concerned by this. Plus, you've got the eclipse coming, so you've got people's minds are spinning. But you said, and I would just want to encapsulate this. You said no damage, nothing fell off the wall, nothing fell at the house.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. It was just a lot of rattling. We looked around and checked everything out, but it wasn't enough to really to do anything. So thank goodness for that. And then, like you said, we as news people, we're looking for damage, and we haven't seen any just yet, and thank goodness for that.
Yeah, and that is the good news. Well, Maurice, I certainly appreciate you calling in. I would imagine this will be on your show later today.
You think?
Yeah.
What do you think? This
think
might be
about
the lead
that?
story, John?
Yeah, I think so. Maurice, thanks for calling in. So I'm told now
MSC 地
that
震
we
情
have
報
Elijah
更
Westbrook.
新
Elijah
5日
Westbrook.
23時
Hey, look
23
at
分
this.
20秒に
We aren't messing
米
around.
国
So
ニュージャージ
Elijah,
ー州
first
で
off,
地震がありました
where were you
震源の
and
深
did
さ
you
は
feel
5
it?
キロメートルマグニチュードは 4.7 と推定されています RES と地震情報更新5日23時23分22秒に米国ニュージャージー州で地震がありました震源の深さは 8.98438 キロメートルマグニチュードは 4.69787 と推定されています
when you get those normally strong gusts of wind, next thing I know, I see emails and text messages coming in from some startled folks saying, "Did you feel that? Did you feel that?" And someone who actually did feel that is Jill here.